Well, we want to welcome everybody today to our celebration of a life well lived. Welcome to AgeSong, and welcome to our rooftop center, which is this lovely day, gorgeous day. We're so pleased to have Swami Surya Devananda here with us today. We're very, very honored to have him with us. Very honored. It's a special, special occasion for us. We're honored to have all of you here with us. We're glad you came. And Marilyn's got a story to tell us about Wesley, and other friends are going to speak too. Now, you're here at AgeSong, where Wesley's lived for 4 years, and I think we're a very special community, a special elder care community, because we have a really strong philosophy here also. We don't believe that the last years of one's life are something that people should be shunned or put away or anything like that. We believe that this is a natural thing, a natural situation for all of us to reach. That elderhood is something that's to be cultivated and to be accepted with open arms. And I really like what Swamiji said today about when people forget. It's kind of like nature's way of just having the memories, the mind let go. And isn't that what we look for in meditation? Yes. Don't we try to become empty of all thoughts and of our ego? So Wesley, our friend Wesley, maybe he's ahead of us. You know, he's got a really great. He's had a great life. He's been a great yogic practitioner, and but I'll let Marilyn tell that story. But we want to thank you for coming and joining us today. Thanks very much.
Okay. Yeah. So again, thank you. I really appreciate everyone coming to help us celebrate the Quiet Yogi. And of course, Wesley would never have referred to himself as the Quiet Yogi. And in fact, some of us here, he has been a friend and teacher for over 40 years. And during all that time, he said very little about himself, about his own life. And but all of us gleaned certain aspects or certain story. We heard certain stories over the years. But when Wesley moved into AgeSong 4 years ago, we had the task of going into his apartment and packing up all his books and papers. And starting to do that, we came across all these wonderful treasures, the letters from Shivananda and Venkatesananda, and evidence of his own personal practice, and letters from the prisoners that he taught at San Quentin. Just all of these treasures, and I was so grateful when Swamiji said, send everything to me. And so 30 boxes got packed up of books and papers and letters and pictures, and they all got sent to Florida. And then Swamiji spent many hours, many months organizing everything, putting everything in chronological order. And then we thought, okay, now what? What happens now? And the idea of making a small booklet. We thought, well, maybe make a small booklet so other people can see these letters and appreciate them. And the booklet grew into a book. So Wesley lost his whole family, his entire family, in the concentration camps in World War II. His family they were active in the Polish underground resistance, and he himself was only 15 at the time. He was liberated at 18 on April 11th, 1945, and if you happened ever to be with him at that time, on the anniversary of that date, he would always look at his watch because he knew to the exact moment when he saw the first American soldier peer around the edge of the gate. And then from there, once he was liberated, he spent a few years in refugee camps, and until he was able to emigrate to this country. He first landed in Flint, Michigan, and that's when a very pivotal event happened. In a small bookstore, he came across a book by Swami Shivananda from the Divine Life Society in India, and it changed his life. It changed the direction of his life. And the story he told was that he went back for more books. He wanted more books, and there were no books to be found, so he wrote to the publisher of the book in India. And the publisher forwarded his letter on to Shivananda. And the next thing Wesley knew, he got a box full of books with personal instructions from Shivananda himself about how to proceed with the practice of yoga. And so that was the beginning, and that was the rest of his life. I myself met Wesley in 1970 at a yoga class in Mill Valley. And the yoga class started with, when I first went there, I knew nothing about yoga. I was just looking for an exercise class. But when I met Wesley, I remember thinking, this man knows something, and whatever it is, I want to know it. And so the hatha yoga class was large, maybe 20 people, and he would always invite, he would say, if anyone would like to stay for the second hour, we'll do some breathing, we'll do some meditation, and you're welcome. And only a few people would stay, maybe 6 to 8 people would stay. And then he would always have something very inspiring to read. And again, I thought, I've been waiting to hear this all my life. So from that group and some other friends, he initiated a satsang group in San Francisco. And we met he was associated with Mr. and Mrs. K, and together they managed several laundromats, and that's how they sustained themselves. They were also from Poland, emigres from Poland. So we had the meeting in Mrs. K's room. It was a dedicated room for yoga. And we read the Bhagavad Gita chapter by chapter. We'd read a chapter, have some discussion, have some meditation, and then go to Wesley's apartment on Hyde Street. He lived on the 3rd floor of a building on Hyde Street with a laundromat on the ground floor. And there we would have coffee and some wonderful dessert that he would make, often mangoes and fruit and yogurt, and just that was a big part of the whole thing. And we did that for almost 20 years. And we read the Bhagavad Gita, went through Bhagavad Gita 3 times. And when he was finally able to retire, he took care of Mrs. K. Mr. K had died. He took care of Mrs. K until she died, and they sold the laundromats, and he was finally able to go to Rishikesh. And after that, he went to Rishikesh to this Shivananda Divine Life Society ashram twice a year for 12 years. And I was lucky enough to be able to travel with him once. And that's where he met Swami Suryadevananda, walking on a path. And Swami Suryadevananda was looking for books by Venkatesananda, and Wesley had a whole chest full of books by Venkatesananda. But Wesley also during this time when he was teaching and teaching in the prison, Swamis would visit from Rishikesh, and they would stay with him in a small apartment. And that's how we had the great, great pleasure and honor of meeting Shivananda's primary disciple, Venkatesananda. And Venkatesananda stayed with Wesley. Swami Suryadevananda stayed with Wesley. Kartikeyan stayed with Wesley. In fact, one day he told me he laughed and he said a woman had called him thinking he was an agent to arrange for Swamis to come visit this country. So it's been a lifelong, wonderful, wonderful association, and he influenced many people. And seeing all the letters from Shivananda and Venkatesananda, we realized his own very, very intense practice. But he really, really influenced so many people simply by being who he is and by the life that he led, the extraordinary life that he led, and being very, very not saying much at all about himself, and just and it's still happening. I mean, he's still influencing people, and Swamiji said I had to talk for 25 minutes. So I think it's Swamiji's turn.